Hello and welcome to Triathlonology, a triathlon podcast by Animis racing team. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Jackie. We are a mum and son coaching team who have changed our lives through the sport of triathlon.
Our podcast aims to break down the mysteries of triathlon training and show you, the listener, how simple and flexible it can be so that it really does become part of your lifestyle and not just a hobby. Hello and welcome to another episode of Triathlonology, a podcast about triathlon.
I'm Jackie Saxon.
And I'm Oliver Saxon, and together we're a mum and son coaching team from God's Own County in Yorkshire. We dish out no-nonsense, simple advice from how we coach people for triathlon and our anecdotes about triathlon.
Yeah, so because you don't have to be all dead serious all the time.
No, because we're not. Well, nobody is really, and if you are serious all the time.
You're a bit sad.
A bit boring, yeah.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about our recollections of doing two World Championship events, or one World Championship event and one age group event, albeit the World Championship we entered as open age group rather than actually qualifying for it. Comparing the two of them and then wondering what next for this particular event. So when we got into triathlon in late 2012, obviously it was on the up in the UK, and there had been for a couple of years a ITU event at Hyde Park, probably in the run up to the Olympics.
Because it was a test event, really.
Test event, let people be familiar with the course. And then in 2013, they had the World Championship Grand Final at the same course the Olympics had been on the year before.
So you can imagine how excited everybody was and whether you would even get a place at the event, because obviously there was as well as the elites, the Ali Brownlees and non-Stanfords and what have you, there was age groups.
And also an open event. So if you hadn't qualified, you could still enter the open event and compete on the World Championship course.
Which started to go in a ballot, I think.
Yeah, I think we did have to go in a ballot. We started to go in a ballot. It was exactly the same as the Olympic course, all in Hyde Park, all on closed roads, swimming in the Serpentine, running around Hyde Park, more or less the same, not quite the same course that the Olympics had run on, because that was still the bike course for other people going round. But to all intents and purposes, you were on the same course that they'd ran the Olympic event on 12 months previously and the World Championship event on that weekend.
Yeah. So we were both mega, mega, mega excited. I don't think I've ever been as excited about doing an event as much as this one. And it was typical British weather.
Everybody hoping for an Indian summer was sorely disappointed.
Because it hammered it down.
Wanged it down.
For days.
Which meant that the carefully planned out transition area, which was absolutely massive in Hyde Park, by the time we got to it on the Saturday to do our race, was it the Sunday?
Saturday
to do our race, was a complete mud bath.
Quagmire is an understatement.
Events had been going on from the Wednesday onwards, so everybody was already just churning it up, getting in and out, and doing all their events. And let alone, the elites didn't have this problem, did they? But,
no, obviously not.
The World Championship, elite age groupers had the same issue, albeit they were earlier in the week, so it weren't quite as messy as when we got there. But it was like, if you've ever seen images of Glastonbury Festival when it's rained, like that, but with expensive,
with a bike,
with expensive triathlon bikes wrapped on some bit of aluminium 2x4, and people putting mats down so you could try and find your stuff and open it. It stood out from mud that were just there. It must have took ages to put that part back together again.
Must have cost BTF a fortune.
Yeah, because it was obviously Hyde Park's a Royal Park, and must have cost them an absolute mint.
Yeah,
restoring all grass. Well, we know how much it worth for tram lines, weren't it, in Sheffield? And weren't as bad as tram lines this year. But
actually, Oliver,
not of the same amount
of
grass.
Yeah,
but the bit that we were on were ruined. It'd take a while to come back. Anyway, so everybody's excited, and we decided to get train, didn't we, rather than drive down?
Yeah.
Which was our first mistake.
Yeah. Even though we had booked our bikes a seat. in the guard's garage.
They did not remember that
Well,
we'd
they
done
hadn't.
that. So we managed to persuade them to put the bikes on for us. And I think I went and sat with them for a bit so they didn't
Yeah,
get
because
stolen.
God said he couldn't guarantee they won't get stolen.
Yeah. Which were a bit of a worry. Although at the time, we didn't have like mega bikes. I had my Boardman
We
road
both had
bike.
Boardmans.
Boardman road bikes that we bought from Alfred's. So they weren't mega expensive, but they were, good for what we could afford.
There were tools that were priceless.
Well, yeah, they were his only bike. For off, weren't they? So anyway, we got off the train at King's Cross, and we were staying at a Travelodge near King's Cross as well, because all other accommodation, like obviously events in London from all over the world, busy, hotels full, stroke mega expensive. But we'd found a Travelodge in King's Cross we could stop at that wasn't particularly expensive. So our hotel were at King's Cross, and so we got our bikes without bike boxes because nobody told us we needed these before.
No, because we didn't even know there were a thing called a bike box.
No, we just thought I would put your bike on train, get it off, and
get it to hotel.
People will cope with you. Wrong. So
we walked, didn't we?
No, we got a taxi, I think.
No, taxi were it.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, so we did. We walked because it said it weren't far on Google Maps to where we were staying at Travelodge.
It was,
but it was It was actually quite far.
And you also got to remember here,
we carried all this triathlon stuff,
and it's not just me and Oliver.
Yeah, my dad's there carrying all the bag, carrying his luggage because we got his triathlon bags with all this triathlon kit in, like his wetsuits and everything.
Yeah.
So we eventually got to Travelodge and checked in, and they let us put his bikes in room because it probably weren't safe to put them anywhere else, were it?
No.
And that were it for that night, no problems. And then we would compete it next day, so that must have been Friday when we went.
Yeah, we must have, because it was Saturday we competed.
Yeah. So Saturday morning, we got up, went about as usual routine to get ready, and then thought, we need to get to Hyde Park. So
it's quite away from where we were.
Yes, and we didn't think we'd be able to take his bikes underground. We knew that much. I mean, we might have been like
yokels
compared to La-di-da London types, but we definitely knew you couldn't take your bike on underground.
And no way were I riding my bike.
Not through central London.
No.
So we decided...
Because this was before they had cycle lanes.
Yeah, there weren't none of that. Boris bikes weren't even a thing, were they?
I think Boris bikes were.
Well, they might have just been. Yeah. Well, they didn't have cycle superhighway or
no, definitely not.
No. So we decided to get a black cab taxi who arrived.
No. We got the hotel to get us a taxi.
Yes, they got us a black cab taxi.
Yeah, they assured us was suitable to put our bikes in as well.
And 3 people.
And triathlon bags.
Yes. So black cab turned up, took a look at us,
drove off.
Yeah. So we got another one. So we just hailed his own one, really, who decided to play along with us, and we managed to get. I think I had to take my wheel off my bike to get it in, but then we got all bikes in. My dad, us, and his triathlon bikes, and we set off to go to Hyde Park.
Now this bloke must have thought we fell off a blinking wagon because we are not that daft. We might not be as savvy as we are now, but we do know London.
And he decided to try and take us a long way around so he could get a fare. But meanwhile, we're like looking at his watches thinking, we need to get here to register and pick his numbers up and rack his bikes and everything. And he's taking Mickey to try and generate a big fare because he's put 2 bags in back of his taxi and he weren't right happy about it. But, don't pick us up if that's the case rather than trying to... And so eventually we got there after quite a bit of stress and being tucked at wrong park because we had to go to Hyde Park and he took us to Green Park, didn't he?
Yeah, and we said, we're not going at Ritz.
Not with these bikes.
We want to go to Hyde Park anyway. And he reckoned he didn't understand, but trust us, he did because he took off to Hyde Park for us.
Yeah, we got dropped off there. I put my front wheel back on. Off we went, and then we went and registered and picked up his numbers, sorted ourselves out, and racked his bikes up.
That's when we discovered how muddy it was.
It was like Somme at this point.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Not only were there bikes there were detritus from everybody who'd been all week, energy gel packets, snapped laces, everything. It were like Somme. So we weren't going off at the same time, but you were going before me, I think.
Yeah.
And so I had to hang around a bit. We got a big coat on, Kelsa Breeze, raining, and cold.
No dry robes at this time.
No dry robes at this time.
Been invented.
So raining, cold, a bit windy. And Mum went off. You had to go first, didn't you? Because you were in ladies open wave and then gents open waves, whatever wave hour in, went off a bit later.
Yeah.
And so you did all usual gubbins and wrecking your bike and all that malarkey. And then put my wetsuit on, which were a task in itself because there were nowhere dry to stand other than on shingle, really, and tarmac, which weren't exactly foot friendly.
No.
Well, not barefoot friendly anyway, while you're trying to put your wetsuit on. And then we got cold in, and then we went into Serpentine, which is probably one of the worst lakes I've ever... People love swimming in Serpentine. I did not enjoy swimming in it. It was horrible. All I could taste was motor oil all the way around.
Although I got to say I didn't think that because all I were concerned we were getting to the other end. So I didn't really take that bit in. But I did have probably one of my best swims. Don't know why, but...
Where I can still taste it now, motor oil, if I think about it. It was horrible. Anyway, went and did a triangular swim because we just did sprint event, didn't we? We only did sprint events then. So we did the swim was a 750 metres in a triangle, more or less, out and back into back to the shore, and then you went and got your bike and rode laps around Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And then you re-racked your bike in Somme, which progressively got worse and worse.
It went on.
Because there's loads of other waves trying to come in with the cycling shoes on or barefoot. I mean, if them people who went barefoot...
Mental.
Must have got trench foot by the end of that. So they went, and then we went, then the run was sort of on the Olympic course, but not really because you had to run a bit off it to be able to complete laps and stuff. The cycle course was super fast. Really, really fast because we had a TT bike by that point. Because we got a Planet X bikes for Olympics, after Olympics.
Must have took Planet X bikes.
We didn't, because we thought about taking us TT bikes, but we weren't sure they were going to be, we would be able to ride them for some reason. I can't remember whether.
I can't remember.
So
why.
in the end, we stuck with his road bikes, and actually that were a bad decision because there were lots of straight flat bits that we lost a lot of time on. We're not been in aero position. Really. That's why, because corners were quite sharp.
Oh, yeah.
So we took, they were sharp for two novice people.
Yeah.
So we decided to take us road bikes with better cornering rather than as TT bikes with better flat speed, and probably in hindsight got it wrong, but never mind, you learn from these things. And you didn't quite go all the way around the lake, did you, on the bike, because there were like a hairpin turn.
Yeah, you had to go back round yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, when you were competing.
But I will say we're really, really well supported, and there were people cheering, and it were a bit like Olympics, because obviously we went to Olympics. So we stood in Hyde Park and watched Ali Brownlee beat Javier Gomez, but it was really well supported all the way around, even on the run.
Yeah. Yeah, and then as you ran, you did come in the home straight bit.
And you run on the blue carpet. That is the best feeling ever.
Yeah, and then run on the finishing line where it's like ITU World Championships 2013.
Yeah, and you could have your picture took there.
Yeah, people passed your flag.
Yeah. No, that was when I did.
No, someone passed us a Yorkshire flag. It might have been my dad.
I think we had Dad.
Yeah, Dad passed us a Yorkshire flag. Which we waved as we ran over. It was great. And my dad had something wrong with him were it his knee?
Knee.
Because he'd got a walking stick.
He'd had his knee done.
Yes. He'd got a walking stick, and my dad leant over home straight boards, and was slapping boards with his walking stick. Making a din.
Yeah, as you do.
So, really, really good event. Really good. We had a really good time doing that. Unfortunately, I were immediately violently poorly straight afterwards.
Yeah.
Which was not due to that event, but probably accelerated what would... Some had picked up swimming in Blue Lagoon in Scunthorpe on Thursday.
Never again.
which I never did again. But that, I would imagine, putting myself through it for an hour and 20 minutes probably accelerated quite how poorly I was. Anyway, that wrote off rest of the weekend, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
But not a lot we could do about that.
And we went back next day because we got tickets for Grandstand
Yep.
to watch Brownlees and Non-Stanford. Because Non-Stanford won, didn't she?
Yes, she did, yeah.
It was world champion. And Johnny messed it up, as usual.
Yeah. Because they should have, anyway. Then, so that was our first foray into doing a proper ITU event that we hadn't qualified.
Big event,
we hadn't qualified for, but that elites were doing. And then our second one that we did, other than Triathlon, which we've done on a previous episode, was when we went to Leeds when they had the ITU event in 2016.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, the first one, which was done. You swam at Hyde Park, and then then it was basically a point-to-point race.
No, wasn't it Roundhay Park?
Roundhay Park, rather. Sorry, you swam at Roundhay Park, point-to-point race. So you went Roundhay Park, then you rode your bike from Roundhay Park
into Leeds City Centre.
Leeds City Centre on a loop course, and then you transition to was in Leeds City Centre, and then the run was around Leeds City Centre. So it was more or less exactly the same course as the elite athletes were going to do later on that weekend.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well.
All I can say is well. Because bear in mind, we're from Yorkshire. So we are so thrilled that there's an ITU race in Yorkshire, and we're going to get a chance to run to do it exactly like we did in London. And we thought it's going to be organised just like London. It's going to be fantastic. We encouraged everybody else who we knew to enter it, including your dad.
Yeah.
And we were so looking forward to it. But
the swim were all right.
Yeah, swim were good.
Swim were all right.
Swim were good.
Can't find that where we went at nicest lakes I've probably ever swam in. So good on Roundhay Park. Definitely recommend swimming in that lake.
Transition.
Yeah, you had a bit of a trek to get to transition, and again
uphill
on grass.
Yeah, and it had rained.
It rained. Well, this even though it's in June, rained. Of course it did. So that weren't as quite as boggy.
It definitely weren't as boggy.
No, because it had not rained as often. It only rained that day, I think, rather than rest.
Because we'd had to rack us bikes overnight.
And they'd had security, which was something that freaked a lot of people out. But they did have somebody on security all night to make sure your bike didn't get stolen. And then you got on your bike and you had to push it through this windy path, I think it was, basically to Mount Line. And as soon as you got up Mount Line, it were uphill, straight away, and a steep hill at that.
Yeah, and I'm thinking all this time, when I went and looked at it the night before, I'm thinking, how did they get risk assessment passed for this? Because it's accident waiting to happen. In fact, they used the same hill bit last year. Was it last year when Johnny got...
No, because it was Sunderland last year.
Oh, Sunderland, year before, where Johnny got knocked off and broke his elbow.
Yeah. But so you're looking at it thinking, okay, well, I've got to be steady in a really easy gear, and I've got to get clipped in on my pedals before I even get anywhere near this hill, because otherwise I'm coming off. So
I didn't think. I thought, well, I've just got over my ACL. There is no way that I am clipping in and riding up this hill, because I'll fall off and do it again. So I thought, path of least resistance, I'll just run uphill with bike, which I did.
I suppose that's the difference between being a 29-year-old man, though, isn't it? And just
it is, yeah.
Okay,
and also not having a major injury.
Yeah. So I managed to get myself on and clipped in an easy gear so that I could start pedalling uphill, which were really steep, and not particularly what you're expecting when you start. Needless to say, however, there were lots of people who nearly caused me to crash, or crashed themselves, or fell off, because they all tried to do a flying mount, pedal up an hill, clip the feet in, and come a cropper, because they just weren't capable of doing it.
No, technically, no chance.
Watch it on telly. I think they can do it different. Anyway, good on them. I hope they're all right now, but they definitely weren't. Some of them were sat there with St. John's around them, and you think, oh dear, that's a lot of money that you just spent to be finished after a swim. Anyway, once you get out of there, back course were all right, really, weren't it? We're down a main road, up a main road, back down a main road into Leeds, more or less.
Yeah, it were all right. I mean, one or two people did cross the road, when it was supposed to be closed
I didn't
roads.
see that because I probably went off a bit earlier.
Yeah, but you always get that.
And then we got to T2 in
Dear
Leeds
me.
City Centre.
Oh dear.
Goodly grief. We'd already put, run stuff there anyway, so we weren't necessarily surprised when we arrived. But when we were setting up T2 the day of the event, where you get changed from your cycling to do running, there was all sorts in that car park. Glass, needles, bottles, all sorts of stuff. I mean, the type of stuff you'd find in a city centre car park, but it had just not been swept or prepared or anything, or, securities
and
to
again,
keep out of.
Massive.
Yeah. So that was a bit of this is a bit dicey, but largely weren't a problem, was it? Because I think they must have spent some time sorting it out after people had got racked up and went, no, there's some needles in there.
Yeah. Because I can remember I was on row 45, and I can tell you that because 45 was Fernando Forestieri's number at Sheffield Wednesday, and my favourite player. So I just thought, Fernando, there we are.
I can't remember that. What row I were on. Anyway, so we get there, you rack your bike up, and then we had to do a 3-loop course, I think it was. 3-loop course of the run, which through city centre along the head row and into the mountain through. Again, you had to run through sort of parallel to the finish line through the city square in front of the city hall, didn't you?
And again, massive crowds. Massive crowds. It was great.
People just out on streets supporting it, city centre. It was great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I'd forgotten how good it was until I went to Leeds recently for a weekend with my wife, and I were walking along up this road near cash converters and thought, last time I walked up here, we're running up here doing triathlon.
And again, you finish on blue carpet, which is brilliant, in front of grandstand and everything. And that's, you can't put a price on that.
No.
But what happened afterwards was the biggest disaster in the world.
Well, for some people, because being an early wave, I got away with it because what was supposed to happen, they were supposed to bring all your stuff from the start to the finish line so you could put your warm clothes on and, you didn't have to go back to Roundhay Park. But while I was lucky that all my stuff arrived and I've got my tracksuit on and my coat and I'm sat, looking to take up a spot in stand to watch the elite race later that afternoon, lots of people, mum and dad included, were not so lucky, and all their stuff was still stuck at Roundhay Park because they hadn't factored in how they were going to get the buses and vans to check everybody's things up to Leeds City Centre on the same bike course or around the same bike course as the event was on, given the road closures.
Yes. So I don't think I had anything. I just had my tri-suit on. And it was a bit cold as well. I know it said it was June, but it's England. It can be flipping freezing in June, and it was. And we were took pity on by a restaurant. And got no money either. You got to remember, no
it's
money.
All in your bag.
Because you've got no money, you've got a tri-suit on, haven't you?
Can't pay with your medal.
No. No, you can't pay with. And they did make us a drink, if I remember rightly. But that's about all. And we had to sit and wait for British Triathlon to sort themselves out and say, go and catch a bus back to Roundhay Park. Get your stuff. So, and this was about 3-4 hours easily after you'd finished.
And not long before elites were due to start.
Yeah, and we're thinking, well, we've got tickets for a grandstand here, but we're not going to see it, are we? So that was shambolic.
I have to say, selfishly, I sat in grandstand and waited for him to come.
Oh, I had to go to Roundhay Park with a very aggrieved Fred.
Oh, yeah. It must have been miserable that day.
Oh, you were right.
About everything.
Yeah,
rain.
Absolutely. So I thought, I'm going to put up with this. Anyway, but everybody else were in the same boat, and he quite liked mourning with other people.
Yeah, well.
Because he does.
Yeah. So
off we go to Roundhay Park, and we find our gear, and I am sure, what would he call it? I saw Dave Scott. And he said it were a bit of rubbish, weren't it?
The man himself.
And I'm absolutely convinced it were him. But
did he have an American accent?
Yes, he did have an American accent, and he just looked like Dave Scott.
Well, he could have been there coaching some people, I suppose.
Well, the other thing is, he was part of that group that had put it on.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what group it was.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway, long story short, bit of a shambles.
So, next year we didn't do it because we'd done it once, and really, how interesting is it going to be to do it twice in a row? Particularly given that having experienced the problems with doing a point-to-point race, it was no longer a point-to-point race in 2017. Instead, you went to Round A Park and back, didn't you?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
So you didn't finish in the city centre like you had the year before, and the elites were going to finish. Instead, you finished in Round A Park, away from it all.
So what point of that?
Well, I mean, once you'd done it and saw how good it were, why would you go do something second rate?
Yeah.
So we didn't. Although we did know people who went
and enjoyed it,
but also had the bike stolen.
Yeah, but they'd never experienced the blue carpet.
No.
So, all I'm going to say is
2 times on blue carpet.
2 times on blue carpet.
Yeah,
well,
and it was really
actually.
good. Well, yeah. Well, 2 times for mortals, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway. It were really, and so it's really disappointing because we didn't do Sunderland last year because neither of us really were in a fit state to do a race, were we?
No, swimming at North Sea in June is no attraction for me.
Swimming in the sea around Great Britain under this government,
it's
and
not,
their attitude towards waste disposal is just not something I'm ever prepared to sanction.
No,
and it came as no surprise that half a field went down with lurgy. And then government denied it were anything to do with that, even though they've later proved that, what a surprise, it were all effluent in water that caused the motor to be badly. Who would have thought it?
Well, anyway, there we are.
So we decided not to do Sunderland last year, so we didn't get to go on blue carpet then either.
No.
And there is no event in England, Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland this year for the ITU World Series, which will be the first time COVID apart since 2011.
Yeah.
Because
there's no money.
No local authority wants to put it up. Puts up money to fund it. And
BTF have got no desire.
Yeah. So there is, for the first time in
13 years,
13 years minus COVID year, there is nothing happening in Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which is a very sorry state of affairs considering the amount of professional triathletes that we have.
Yeah.
And, very good triathletes, that there isn't a home race for them to compete in or
try and qualify in the Olympic year.
Because Leeds event, we're on telly.
Yeah, always on telly.
But also some age group
stuff. Age group,
because Louise Minchin did it from
Louise...
BBC Breakfast. If you've not from a UK audience, but she did it, and so there were loads of as you were running past them, with people on telly waving at you and all sorts.
Yeah, honestly,
we're mad. To think that this is happening in Leeds, in an age group race, you thought, well, triathlon's arrived. How the mighty have fallen in less than 8 years.
And you've got to say why. Why? And we obviously, you heard our thoughts on this, so maybe that's a place that we could stop at this today. So,
so our experiences are, if you get the chance to do it in the country that you live in or you want to go to it, do it, because it's great.
It is fab.
Definitely do it. I think I would do it again.
I would do it again.
I would do it, even if it meant going abroad to do one. Yeah. Like Abu Dhabi or something like that. I bet that'd be good.
I bet that'd be good. Yeah.
Just mainly because it won't rain. Yeah. Having done 2 where it absolutely hammered it down, I'm miserable for a bit of it. Although you don't necessarily mind when you're racing. Yeah, I'd rather have some heat. So that's an anecdote about ITU events. I've been Coach Oliver.
I've been Coach Jackie.
And until next time, we'll see thee. Thank you for joining us today.
See you next time.
See you then. Or as we say in Yorkshire, see thee.